It's always, for me, been this meditative practice, being in nature, and later lived in North Carolina, worked on farms there, and always was interested in, I think particularly as a creative person, how you create, growing food and enjoying the practice of seeing something grow from the earth.
Yeah.
It's like seeing a song come to life, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a creative process kind of in there, and naturally. Over time, I just really wanted to learn more about food systems in this country.
What would you say has been your biggest takeaway thus far within that learning process?
That there's so much to learn. Realizing the systemic gross inequities of food access and food education. It's just not an even playing field.
Peace, everybody. Welcome to Voices at the Root, presented by Why Hunger, where we speak to folks who are looking to build a just world from the ground up. I'm your main man, Hess, here to host, and today we have a very special guest, Grammy-nominated musician and producer, Rabasi Joss. How are you today, Rabasi?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. So glad you can come. And I like to make sure, whenever we have artists come by, I want this to be an opportunity for folks to get to know who you are a little bit before we get into other conversations. So I wanted to start really just how could you share how you came up with your name, and also how did music find its way to you?
I have just known music as long as I've been here, I think. Rabasi is a variation of my middle name, Rose.
Oh, okay.
And
Nice.
it's a childhood nickname. And I've been in a musical family. You know, my great grandmother was an opera singer.
Oh, wow. Okay,
And I can remember going back to when I was 5 years old on the playground, when the other kids were playing on the swing sets, standing by myself and making up songs. And I was just always over here doing my own thing. Yeah. And that just continues to this day.
Yeah. It's good to get that familial kind of energy into the work that you're doing. Yeah, it carries, for sure. Yeah. And we've known each other for some time. We met through the Recording Academy. Shouts out to everybody that was nominated this year. Yep. Absolutely. Going for gold. Yeah. So, through that, us meeting and building a friendship or what have you, just the way we've been able to engage over the years, looking at the infusion of how the arts and music, kind of intersect with activism, and things of that nature. And particularly what you've done is around a lot of youth development. You work with youth. So I would love to get your take on just what has that experience been like, building that intersection and, the youth response, and what's your experience been with that?
Yeah. Well, starting when I was 19 was when I first started writing my own songs. So I started doing open mic nights around that time. And the first open mic night I did, and the first gig I was ever offered, was at a legendary music venue called Cafe Lena. Okay. And at the same time that I was going to the cafe and started performing there and hanging out with all the musicians who were performing, and it had this folklore and this amazing history of people like Dr. Bernice Johnson Reagan and the Freedom Singers and Pete Seeger and Ani DeFranco. Nice. All had honed their craft there. And so it was this place that was infused with this incredible musical history and musical energy. And I was going to school for ethnomusicology around the same time. So I was going to school studying music, and then every week I was at this venue, putting myself at the feet of these great artists and learning music history there. Yes. And that was my first real introduction to studying music, but I was studying it in these two different ways. Yeah. And eventually that led me to wanting to tell the story of this experience I was having, of this incredible history of this place. And I developed a multimedia documentary project with the Library of Congress and the Grammy Foundation that was featured in the New York Times about the history of the cafe. Awesome. And after that, I decided to start my own creative studio. I became a catalog remix producer, and it was during the early projects of that studio that I realized I really wanted to keep infusing the music education piece, because I was so influenced as a young person by having the experience of learning music in this way. And the New York Times ended up inviting me to teach for their summer academy, which you
I've had the pleasure of being a part of.
And came and spoke to our students, which was a really beautiful experience. And
thank you for that. I appreciate taking that time.
It was amazing. We have to do more.
Yes.
And now I really see my career as a catalog remix producer as being and an artist and a music educator as being the past, present, and future of music.
Wow. And what would you say has been like, just to expand a little bit more on like the youth response? Like, I know it's been like, it was like international youth, right? Or like in youth that are here, like kind of like different types of students. What has been their response to what you've shared with them?
Well, Tim and I were just talking about this. The city as an incubator of music and culture is the best way, I think, to experience music history. Because I was just thinking about this earlier today. I was in Chinatown in Little Italy, and on the the street, I was hearing mariachi music, blasting from cars, and said, where else can you be where you can hear all of these different experiences in one place? So the students that come internationally and domestically here, they love that. They love just being immersed in musical culture. So it's a great kind of fish tank to study music.
So with Why Hunger, right, we definitely focus on like how do we train farmers, how do we build out food justice in that particular way of community-led and working on the ground with how do we build food justice, how do we build sovereignty through the work that we're doing. And I know you've expressed particularly that you have a history with farming and nature, what have you. I wanted to get a take on from you, what experience do you have in that you can share in farming space, and what does that mean to you as far as the conversation around food and food justice? Can you share what your experience has been with that?
Yeah, when I was growing up, I grew up in a more rural area than New York City.
Yeah.
And from the time I was a teenager, I was always working on farms or in greenhouses, always had my hands in the dirt. And I love this saying that Liz Wright, the artist Liz Wright, says, who also is a big interest in food and farming, is that when you're trying to make a big decision, to go dig a hole in the dirt. Because it's just this connection, this slow down
getting back to the earth,
back to the earth, back to yourself.
Yes.
And so it's always, for me, been this meditative practice, being in nature, and later lived in North Carolina, worked on farms there, and always was interested in, I think particularly as a creative person, how you create, growing food and enjoying the practice of seeing something grow from the earth. It's like seeing a song come to life, So there's a creative process kind of in there and naturally. And over time, I just really wanted to learn more about food systems in this country. And I took a step back and started educating myself and started talking to people and wanting to understand my part in that. And, realizing the systemic gross inequities of food access and food education. It's just not an even playing field.
It's not, right? Yeah.
And you all are doing some amazing work to help people understand, the root causes of that.
Yeah.
And now I'm at the point where I'm doing basically the same thing as what I was doing at the cafe years ago. I'm just trying to study with the experts, learning from the people who are doing this on the ground, right? So through my production company over the last couple of years, we were able to do podcast with First We Feast and shine a light on the work that Ghetto Gastro is doing in the Bronx.
Yes.
And people who are already doing this work in the city, right? Learning from them. Roseanne Gold, who's a chef in Brooklyn, who was very active during Hurricane Sandy, feeding people, you know. Okay. So that experience has been helping me to understand better the landscape of who's out there, who the activists are, and I'm in a learning place right now.
Yeah. Well, and how what would you say has been your biggest takeaway thus far within that learning process?
That there's so much to learn.
Right.
And that there's so many good people out there who are already doing such incredible work. So thank you for the work that you're doing. And,
absolutely.
If you and I can just continue to shine a light on other people, the farmers, the chefs who are making the food, but also very connected to where the food is coming from. I think there's just a lot more awareness now
100%.
about how everything is connected. That's the best place to start, I think.
Yeah, working together, absolutely. Looking at just talking more about food and just like how it impacts a lot of folks. I know we looked at the recent statistics around, hunger in America. 44 million people in America right now are still dealing with hunger, even, despite the idea that, COVID's over and like we can get back to normal. And it's like things aren't quite normal for folks, between hunger and between housing and everything in between. What would you say, just even in your learning process, even in your growing process, what would you say you could be, or what's your thought or belief around how we can work together to solve hunger?
From basically like my take on it at this point and still being in a learning process about it is to look to the people, like I was saying, who are already doing the work and helping them, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's so many organizations. Soulfire Farm,
Soulfire Farm
is out there doing incredible work. These chefs, these activists, and it's global, so educating yourself about who's already doing things that you can get involved in your local community, and educating yourself about your role in it. How do you fit into the whole food system, the ecosystem, where you are and who you are and the privileges that you have. What can you do with that?
So it's Grammy season. Yes. And I know you have some special picks that you're probably excited about that are nominated. Like I know we recently had Emily King perform for us. So I know you're a fan. So how does it feel to see some of your favorite artists get in the space?
I'm always rooting for Emily. I just saw the John Batiste documentary that came out, and something he said about the there's no best. There's no best. It's like these award shows, they're moments in time. They sort of document. I'm a documentarian, so I'm always looking at like snapshots of life. And I was really moved by that. I thought, what a great way to kind of zoom out from the excitement of the moment to realize that everybody's in the process of creating, and this is like a creative blip on the map of the whole creative process that we're all in, kind of in the soup together. So it's a lot of excitement to shine a light on different kinds of styles and people doing what they do in the crafts.
For sure. And you're yourself a Grammy nominated. Could you share what was the experience like when you got the news, and just like what was the takeaway from that maybe lends itself today to how you create, if at all, if that influences at all?
I mean, it's surreal because it's like this shininess. There's shininess to it. The award and the glamour and the pomp and circumstance, and like I said, it is a moment in time. It's a document, but at this point, I try to use it as a platform, opportunity to get more involved in the Recording Academy. Because it's the access that I have now to this community of people who are making a lot of decisions about the music industry. And I sit in these rooms and I hear these conversations, and I try to do what I can to help move that forward as far as the awareness that we all need to have about inclusivity and all of it, thinking about how we can just be better, be more available as an institution to all different kinds of artists, so that the music can continue to grow. I'm very invested in the forward motion. Also documenting the past so we don't lose the traditions, but really paying attention to how we can evolve.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to bring it back a bit. It was just, what is that like? If you could share from the documentation process of that history, could you just share a bit more of that? I think that's so interesting.
As far as
just with the work that you've been building out, learning how to document the history, and what is that process been like for you?
Oh, okay. Well, so my studio is called Arbo Radiko.
Yes.
And it means tree root.
Okay.
And I developed this process from the very beginning of doing the Cafe Lena project, helping cultural organizations, brands, and artists get to the next stage of their creativity by remixing their catalogs in new ways. So we do that across multimedia channels. We're doing a lot of podcasting work now in tandem with video work, with series. It's always evolving, but it's really about looking back to look forward and repurposing and reimagining. And it keeps us connected to our creative past, but there's so much we have available in our own archives that we can use, right, to stay connected to who we are, but it's New York City again. I really enjoy the intersection points, right, between where we're coming from and where we're going, and I think, there's so much opportunity there. We talked about Why Hunger, the organization of Why Hunger, and its incredible history. We've done work for ICA Miami Art Museum, for the Town Hall, for, you know, so many great organizations that you may not know about the incredible gems in the history. But when we unearth them, when we start to like explore them together, also there's an educational piece always, right, with youth. It's great to shine a new light and get new perspectives so that you can breathe new life into these brands, you know, and get them going into what the future of all of this is going to be. So that's my work now, and I really enjoy it. Still remixing, still doing music, but it's gotten very complex with technology and multimedia now, where we can just do so much more with storytelling.
For sure. I love that.
That
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so I love that. And I think looking at the future, like what more do you see to come for yourself, and not only in this process, but do you see more like as far as like albums or music making that you look to do in the future, or what does the future look like for you?
Yeah, I've been working on some new music, and I'm really looking forward to putting out a new album.
Nice.
And it is very much influenced by the excitement of the remix catalog work, and applying that to my own music now. I'm thinking about how I can use the tools to go deeper into my own catalog.
Awesome.
And become more collaborative, working with different kinds of artists. So, and also exploring ancestry a bit. You know, I think particularly for our generation, there's been a focus that I've noticed over the last few years on, again, looking back to look forward, thinking about where we've been coming from. I think particularly in the pandemic, there was a moment of pause where we all had to stop and really look at ourselves.
For sure.
And that's caused a lot. You see it in music and movies and television. There's a lot of focus on healing and ancestral healing. So it's in the zeitgeist, and I'm definitely plugged into that and thinking about that, having conversations about that. So all of that's kind of influencing where my music is going next.
That's amazing. Yes.
Do you feel the same way?
I do. I feel like, you know, with things like the pandemic, like now more than ever, like you said, like healing is necessary. And I mean, you know, like I've always like had a passion for just like, how can I infuse the music that I create and the artists that I create with around like healing for the rest of the world, you know, because music is a powerful tool of communication, right? You know, no matter what language you speak, the language of music resonates universally. So it's like, what do you choose to say with that, and who do you choose to move and impact with that? So I definitely
please know that I've been so inspired by your music.
Oh,
I'm always paying attention to what you're putting out, and you're so prolific, and it's so inspiring to see you always pushing. You're always making sure to. I want to be able to continue to do as much work as you do to hone your craft. It's really inspiring.
I appreciate that, and I do look forward to the opportunity for us to collaborate more in that particular space. You know, with the crosses over, like again, looking at the music history, looking at the activism piece, the food piece, all those things we can tie in together in a healing space for humanity. I think it's so needed right now and necessary. So
let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Where can folks find you and get more information about how they can support, you know, and just learn more?
So Rabasi Joss, RABASI JOSS at all the things. Arbo Radiko, ARBO RADIKO. Means tree root, all the things. Website, social media. And we have a newsletter as well. I'm always sharing out, you know, fun things and things from the community and things I think will be helpful, so they can join newsletter and kind of stay connected that way. And I'm going to be performing some more soon. I have Tim Peck with me today.
Yes.
My wonderful collaborator. We're going to play some music. So
I'm excited about that.
More of that.
Absolutely. So yes. So as Joss said, we're going to get into some music in a little bit. And Joss, it's a pleasure having you on the show. Looking forward to the performance. And remember, this is Voices at the Root, presented by Y Hunger. Make sure you follow Y Hunger on all social platforms. Y Hunger on X, Y Hunger Fans on Facebook, Y Hunger Talk on TikTok, and Y Hunger Pics on Instagram. And make sure you visit yhunger.org to learn more about Y Hunger's work. And make sure you follow Rabasi Joss and The Journey.
Thanks.
So take care, enjoy yourselves, and let's get into some music, guys. One love.
If the right thing came along, would you
you take it whole or would you take it half away? Would you write it in a song? Would you leave it at my feet and slowly walk away? Or would you leave it at my feet and walk away? We're so wrong our size, or we don't fit in any drawer. Nothing's big enough to hold us anymore. You said if we swim long and hard enough, we just might find some shore. So it goes, so it goes, so it goes. And I heliotrope. You're the dark blue to my deep red. You're the poetry that neither you or me have thought, have ever said. Said I'm just looking for a peaceful place where I can lay my head. So it goes, so it goes, so it goes. And I heliotrope. If the right thing fell away, would you write it on your hand to remember us this way? Oh, babe, I am so sorry for the way that I behave. But when I love you, I promise to do it delicately. And you heliotrope to me. Thank you. All right. That was our first song, Heliotrope by Rabasi Joss. So recently, I heard Emily King perform at the 92Y, and she said something about older songs that are like really familiar to us. And she just reminded me how these old familiar songs can be. This is Have a Little Faith in Me. It's John Hiatt's song. When the road gets dark, you can no longer see. Just let my love throw a spark and have a little faith in me. When the tears you cry, you can believe. Just give these loving arms a try, baby, and have a little faith in me, and Have a little faith in me. 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 When your secret heart cannot speak so easily, come here, darling, with a whisper of start, and have a little faith in me. When your back's against the wall, just turn around and you will see. I'll be there, I'll be there, I'll be there to catch your fall. Have a little faith in me. 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 Have a little faith in me.